Mr. President, for months when you were asked about your age, you would respond with the words, watch me. Many American people have been watching, and they have expressed concerns about your age.
That is your judgment. That is your judgment. That is not the judgment of the press.
They express concerns about your mental acuity. They say that you are too old. Mr. President, in December, you told me that you believe there are many other Democrats who could defeat Donald Trump. So why does it have to be you now? What is your answer to that question?
Because I'm the most qualified person in this country to be president of the United States and finish the job I started.
I don't think the president did himself any favors in that speech. He undercut two of his biggest messages. The adults are back in charge by sort of being dismissive of, yes, he was exonerated. He's not going to be convicted or tried for this, but there's some really damning pieces of information in here. He had deliberations around Afghan war plans with him. He spoke to a biographer about classified documents who didn't have clearance. This showed a decent level of reckless mishandling of classified information.
And he said in that he didn't.
He said that he didn't. So I think there was a dismissiveness to the seriousness of this. And then on the other hand, they were using this bizarre line to say he stepped away from an international crisis, the biggest attack on our ally Israel since the Holocaust, to go deal with a self-inflicted investigation by the Department of Justice. How is that supposed to inspire confidence? I don't know why he went back out. He already said most of this in Virginia today, but this is becoming a 5-alarm fire for the White House.
Mexico? Where did that come from? I mean, that's the only thing anyone's going to remember from this.
A 5-alarm fire. That's CNN. A 5-alarm fire. Gang, this is as serious as it gets. This is it. I mean, again, when the White House shills at CNN declare that what you just did is a 5-alarm fire, I mean, gang, they know the jig is up for the convalescent in chief, old Dementia Joe. They know it. They did everything they could to hide it. And it just keeps getting worse. And now the whole world is seeing it. The whole world is seeing that Biden is indeed the convalescent in chief. And I'm going to show you why this is all becoming the Democrats' absolute worst nightmare imaginable. Wait until you see what all of this means for 2024. What if I told you there was a small group of investors who wildly outperformed the market? Well, there is, and you know exactly who they are. Corrupt politicians like Nancy Pelosi and establishment senators have been using their security clearances and exclusive knowledge to their advantage in the market for decades now. They know when sales are up. They know what earnings are going to be. They know about legislation, incoming Fed changes, you name it, a whole host of other inside baseball tips that gives them an unfair advantage when picking stocks. When these bigwigs make moves, odds are they know something. But thanks to a little-known SEC database, guess what? We can see what and when these people are buying. Not only do we get to see it in real time, but we get to piggyback on their trades to gain the same advantage for ourselves perfectly legally and ethically. My friend Ross Givens has been tracking insider trading for years, and his recommendations have led to investment returns of over 200%. Some have hit as high as nearly 1,500%. And according to him, there's no better way to beat the market. Now it's your turn. Click on that link below right now and learn how you too can learn to trade like Pelosi. Click on that link and learn how to gain an insider advantage for yourself. All right, let's dive right in here, gang. What do I say? What does any of us say? Last night was quite literally a tale of two cities. A tale of two civilizations for all the world to see. On the one side, the world saw Russian President Vladimir Putin in his interview with Tucker Carlson, an interview that has now exceeded 100 million views on X, formerly known as Twitter. It was frankly a rather astonishing interview, 2 hours long, 2 hours covering 1,100 years of Russian history. It covered contemporary geopolitical strategy. It got into the nitty-gritty of economics. It talked about the future of the dollar as the world's default currency. It talked about the emergence of BRICS, right? The big geopolitical bloc and the recalibration of world order. It was a frankly extraordinarily informative interview. On the other side, well, the world saw this.
As you know, initially, the president of Mexico, Sisi, did not want to open up the gate to allow humanitarian material to get in. I talked to him. I convinced him to open the gate. I talked to Bibi to open the gate on the Israeli side.
He might as well just be talking inside a closet. I mean, you just heard Joe Biden proudly declare that he, the president of the United States, convinced Mexico to open its borders to Gaza. That's what you just heard. And not only that, but their president, El-Sisi, Mexico's president, El-Sisi, yeah, he just happens to be the president of Egypt. Make no mistake, gang, the world saw those two interviews. The world saw those two world leaders speaking back to back last night. And let me ask you, based on what they saw last night, whose side do you think they're on? Which administration do you think the vast majority of the world's population sees as stable, as competent, as strategic, capable, and skilled? Now, as you all know by now, that Biden press conference last night was hastily thrown together, and it obviously showed that the White House was in total and complete panic over the bombshell report dropped by special counsel Robert Hur that probed Biden's illegal mishandling of classified documents in his garage. Indeed, Hur's investigation uncovered a rather shocking habit of Biden's in removing classified documents from their secure locations, both as a sitting senator as well as vice president over the course of 15 years. Now, any one of those acts would have been a felony. To remove classified documents and store them in unsecured fashion like a garage. Biden did it multiple times over the course of 15 years. The report details each and every offense and is about as damning as it could possibly be. The report makes it clear Biden knew they were there when he was doing his biography with his ghostwriter. We have tapes of him talking about classified information and documents that he had in his possession in his home in Delaware that he should not have had as VP. I mean, it's about as damning as it can possibly get. It would land any one of us in jail. But then Hur, almost like James Comey with Hillary, did something very odd, very strange. Something that has absolutely nothing to do with his role as special counsel. He concluded that a jury would not convict Biden precisely because they would sympathize with his old age and his obvious senility. Hur's report detailed how Biden could not remember when he was vice president. He couldn't remember when his term began. He didn't remember even within several years when his son Beau died. In other words, he was clearly suffering from severe cognitive degeneration. And according to Hur, that would make Biden too sympathetic to a jury. And so, while he clearly violated the law multiple times, because he's so old and senile, and because that elderly senility would evoke sympathy, there's just no point in dragging this through a trial, and so charges will not be pressed. Now, needless to say, when that report dropped, it lit a powder keg throughout D.C. I mean, boom! Twitter, social media, cable news, they exploded almost immediately. Speaker Mike Johnson came out and publicly declared that Biden is completely unfit for Oval Office. Quote, a man too incapable of being held accountable for mishandling classified information is certainly unfit for the Oval Office. Again, almost immediately, the 25th Amendment, the amendment that spells out the procedures for removing a sitting president that can no longer carry out his duties, started trending on X, formerly known as Twitter. Senator Josh Hawley explicitly called for invoking the 25th Amendment. Senator Mike Lee of Utah tweeted out, if ever there were a time to invoke the 25th Amendment, wouldn't that time be now? Representative Mary Miller of Illinois followed suit. Quote, for the safety of our nation, Joe Biden must resign. He could not remember basic facts about his life. He's not competent to remain as commander-in-chief, and every day that he remains, he puts America at risk. If he won't resign, the cabinet must invoke the 25th Amendment. And it went on and on and on. It just caught on like wildfire. Here's Georgia firebrand Marjorie Taylor Greene.
I think we're in a national security crisis. If the man is not fit to serve trial, Joe Biden has not served a fit trial, then he is not fit to serve as president of the United States. As president of the United States, he carries around the nuclear football. I mean, think about that. He is making the biggest decisions on behalf of our entire country, not only our country, but in a large part, the entire world. Yet he's not able to serve, not able to stand trial for all the documents that he kept, not only as vice president, but also as a senator. This is extremely serious. I look forward to talking with Speaker Johnson and many of my colleagues. We need to look at possibly impeachment, but the cabinet should be invoking the 25th Amendment.
He's a sitting president, so he can't sit trial, right? But the special counsel is saying, quote, he spoke painfully slow. He struggled to remember events. He strained to read and remember his own notebook entries. That he didn't remember when his vice presidency began and ended, asking, quote, in 2009, was I still vice president? And his memory appeared hazy about key events. So you're thinking you're going to ask your colleagues to look into this more?
We have to. I mean, we absolutely have to. This cannot be dismissed. And look at recently at his speaking events where he's talking about speaking to people that have already died. His mental clarity, his memory, his ability to make decisions is extremely important as president of the United States. And the Democrat Party cannot hide this anymore. We have to move forward and do something about it.